Yo, welcome back to the podcast. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna call this yet. Right now it's still Lionheart, but I might change up the name. I'm brainstorming and stuff. But yeah, starting a new journey. This isn't like the podcast that I was doing before. This one's a little bit different. Um, I wanted to kind of separate some things, and I've been doing a lot of thinking lately and just trying to figure out how I want to go about everything. So what I'm gonna do is I have two separate channels now. Now I have my regular YouTube channel, Jordan Taylor channel, which is going to be all about self-improvement, all that kind of stuff. So if that's what you're looking for, then that's the channel you want to go to, because that's where I'm going to have all my self-improvement content at. But this one is just going to be a podcast, kind of just speaking whatever is on my mind. For right now, it's probably mainly just going to be me, because that's just the way it is right now. Until I can develop some bigger pool to be able to pull people that just have conversations with. But I don't want this to be just like your typical podcast. That's my goal to make with this one. I want this to just kind of be, to be able to have episodes like this, just me talking whatever comes to my head, and then I'm the kind of person who talks to himself all the time anyways. So I figured, you know what, I'm not gonna lie. I got the idea from a recent podcast, the Better Take podcast with Russell Orhe. So that's where I kind of took inspiration from. I was like, this is a good idea. Having a podcast where I could just talk, and then having the self-improvement stuff on a specific channel for itself. So I'm continuing with all the self-improvement stuff. This one's going to be just a combination of a lot of things, whatever I decide to talk about on the day. But I figured just start this podcast up, and it's something I could look back on later on. I'm going to take you guys through the journey of me being able to level up, me just constantly trying to get better and going about everything that I'm going about right now. So right now, we're going on not on the biggest budget right now, but soon enough, little by little, as the podcast grows, we'll be able to get more equipment and be able to upgrade everything. Right now, I'm in a hotel room. I'm in Albany, New York. So that's one big thing that's changed up as of recent. I moved, so about a year ago, I was living in Tampa. I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah in June of last year. And then recently, in April, I just moved to Rochester, New York. So because of work, I travel around a lot. So right now I'm staying in Albany, New York, which is a little bit further east. But yeah, I live in upstate New York now. That's a recent big change that's happened. And yeah, man, just taking in the new scenery, doing the same thing that I've been doing a lot of brainstorming, figuring out how I want to go about the content side of everything, other things that I'm going about as well, different entrepreneurial things, I guess I could say. So I'm trying out a lot of different things right now, just trying to figure out what I'm doing. So anyways, I wanted to start this up, and this is kind of just going to be like more of an intro episode, just to let you guys know what is going on. Just an introduction to this podcast, and hopefully we can continue to grow this out. And if you guys want to, later on, as we can continue to develop in anything, if you guys have any like specific topics that you want me to talk about or anything in the podcast, put it down in the comment section or put it on my Instagram, wherever you want to put it. I'm going to have my specific, my Instagram account, which is the Jordan May Taylor. And then I'm also going to have the podcast account, which for right now is the Lionheart podcast account. But like I said, it might be changing soon if I can think of a different name, something that would go along better. So we'll see about that. But for right now, it's going to stay Lionheart, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, make sure you follow both accounts. Follow my Jordan May Taylor account. Make sure you follow the Lionheart podcast account for right now. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. So anyways, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of flow off the top of that. That's one thing I didn't want to have this structured for this podcast format. I just kind of want to go off the top of my head, whatever I decide to talk about. So that's kind of where this direction is going to go. But anyways, like I said, like I was about to say, if you guys have any questions, make sure you put it, any questions or anything, any topics you want me to talk about, make sure you put it down in the comment section or put it in my on Instagram, wherever you want to put it. But yeah, so yeah, because I know a lot of podcasts, man, they just be talking about the same things nowadays over and over again, and that's one thing I do want to avoid. I don't want to be talking about the same thing that everybody else is talking about, because nowadays I feel like everybody's so obsessed with especially like the dating thing. Like, people are so obsessed with that, and people just question over and over and over again the exact same questions, and it's just, I'm like, man, I'm like, change it up a bit, man. Everything's always the exact same. So that's one thing that I do want to avoid in this podcast. I don't want to be talking about what everybody else is talking about. Like, I kind of just want to go which direction that I feel like going in. One day, whenever I'm able to start bringing guests onto this podcast, I want to be able to just have conversations. I don't want to be worrying about, topic this and just asking them the same questions everybody else asks. No, I just want to have nice conversations, man. Just regular conversations that's on camera. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. But yeah, I do want to try to stay away from all the topics that everybody else is talking about, because I don't know, man. To me, it's just annoying, because I feel like everybody's just focused on so many things, so many of the same questions over and over again. And I hear so much, we'll start from there. I hear so much about like the dating market, and people are like, oh man, how do I find the dream girl? How do I get a girlfriend? This and that. And like, honestly, I'm going to just give you guys my perspective right now. Just get it out the way, first episode, because I feel like that's where everybody always wants to go. And my way of thinking is, if you work on yourself, all that stuff will sort itself out. The problem is, so many people are like chasing after that. They're chasing after this feeling that they want to call love, and they're chasing after all these things, and then they neglect themselves, and they neglect the things that they should be doing to better themselves. And I feel like people just have it backwards. People are forgetting that in order to obtain all that, relationship-wise and all that kind of stuff, you need to focus on yourself, man. That's the solution to everything. If you focus on making yourself better, all that will sort itself out. Everything will sort itself out. Stop focusing so much on that, because I feel like that's what everybody's focused on nowadays. And I understand that's like an innate thing, especially for men. It's an innate desire that you want a woman there by your side. But focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. I'm telling you, that's the secret. There is no secret. The secret is focus on yourself and become the man that you need to be in order to get the kind of woman that you want. Stop focusing on what everybody else is doing. That's why I hate the red pill, blue pill talk, all that stuff. Like, I don't even understand it nowadays, because I just stopped paying attention. I don't care anymore. I feel like all that stuff is just so over the top for no reason. It's like, I don't care. I don't care. The solution is become the man that you need to be in order to get the woman that you want, and stop focusing so much on that in the first place, and learn to focus on yourself. And I'm telling you, everything else will fall in line. So stop focusing so much on that and just focus on you. Focus on bettering yourself and becoming the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And honestly, that's the solution. And then there's all the topics about like men. I think this is more so like the red pill space and stuff. Like I said, I don't pay attention anymore. I don't care about the negativity and all that stuff. I try to stay away from that, because there's no purpose of being in that. Like, first of all, it has nothing to do with me. So I'm not going to get involved with a conversation that has nothing to do with me, because I don't care. And then, anyways, the multiple women talk and stuff, and the thought that men have to have multiple women no matter what. They can't stick with one single woman. And my response to that is, man, you guys must have no self-control. Dude, you got to learn to develop self-control, man. A true, in my opinion, a real man is able to have self-control and able to control themselves in all those situations. They're not controlled by their other head or controlled by their desires and stuff like that. If you're like that, then you have some developing to do, and that means that you need to work on yourself before you even start chasing anything, because you're just chasing pointless things, man. Like, the thing about trying to have multiple women and stuff like that is it's a waste of time, because you're having to stay connected with all these different women and stuff like that. Then you're having these pointless one night stands and everything. What is it gonna do for you? Where are the benefits at? Where are the benefits? Like, that's my way of thinking. Where are the benefits? There are no benefits. You might feel pleasure for a short amount of time, but what is that gonna do for you? It's empty pleasure. It's empty. You get nothing out of it except that empty pleasure that you get at that time. It does nothing for you. So at the end of the day, everybody has their own life. Everybody can do whatever they want, but I feel like a real man is able to have self-control with all that stuff. And I'm telling you, even everybody's going to respect you better for that if you do have self-control and you don't let your desires and, the vanities of life take control of you. And this could be with many different things. Like, you have to learn how to have self-control. Like I said, I'm not judging anybody for their life, because I'm not perfect. I have a lot of stuff that I got to work on myself. But my way of thinking is you just can't let the vanities of life control you, man. Pointless sex, drugs all the time. What else? There's a lot of things. Anything could become a vice. Like video games, if you're constantly playing video games and just neglecting everything else, that could become a vice of yours. Anything that is just taking in a majority of your life and you're doing in excess, it becomes a vice and something that is not doing anything for you. So I think that's when it comes that you have to have that time of reflection to look back at yourself and look at what is it that you're doing and what is it that you can do better. I feel like that's what life is all about. Life is all about improving, becoming better, and doing what you got to do to become the best you can be. And yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna be everywhere, wherever my mind goes. This is exactly why I started this podcast, because I have a tendency, like even in my head, I'll just kind of start riffing off and talking to myself and just going on and on and on and on and on. So I figured, why not just put this in podcast format? Might as well. It's something I can look back on. It's something that you guys can follow me on the journey of as I continue to just keep working towards what I'm doing. And maybe even with me riffing off like this, it'll help you guys too. Maybe it can help the people who are listening to this, because this is just kind of the way that I think. This is my thought process that goes through my head all the time. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. But anyways, so many people are trying to like chase after like this. They think that these empty pleasures bring them happiness, right? They feel that joy, that happiness for that short moment. The problem is empty. It's not going to give you anything. Like at the end of the day, it's just going to make you feel worse and worse as you chase these vanities and these empty pleasures. It's going to do absolutely nothing for you. So it may seem like it in the moment. Or everything, most of the time, the bad things are going to seem good in the moment. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to discern which ones are beneficial to you and which ones are not beneficial to you. And those empty pleasures, those vanities of life, like I said, they're not going to do anything for you in the long run. So that's why my way of thought is just avoiding. Like I don't drink at all. Like I've never drank in my life. I've never done any kind of drugs or anything like that, because I've always stayed away from it. I never had the desire to go after that stuff. I just seen too many bad things happen with the drinking and all that stuff. And I don't know, my way of thinking has always been like, I want control of everything. And I know what alcohol does to your head and everything. So I don't know, that's just my way of thinking. And then I've never been the kind of one that's just going chasing after women and pointless sex and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I've always had a different mentality. And for a long time, I didn't know what it was. But now I'm finally starting to come to grips of who I am as I'm getting older. Because I turned 24. I'm going to be turning 24 at the end of this year in September. So I'm 23. I'm still young. I have a lot to learn. I know, because I'm learning every single day, and I'm still coming to understand who I am as a person. But I've come a long way from the time when I was like 18. Like for example, when I was when I was in high school, first of all, I wasn't an amazing student. And I'm not saying I was a bad student. I simply just was not doing the work. I didn't have great grades. I kind of just, by the time I got to high school, I was clocked out. Like mentally, I was done. And to be honest, those weren't great years, like mentally for me. I feel like there was a lot of, that's where a lot of my anxiety and a lot of like the depression that I had at that time stemmed from. And that's because back then I just had no direction. Like I didn't have very many friends at that time, because I don't know, I just had a very different mentality and a different way of living than everybody else. Like everybody else had certain priorities, getting with different women, parties, all the stuff, you know, what high schoolers be doing. And me, on the other hand, I just like chilling at home. I was kind of a loner, so because of that, I didn't really have very many friends. But yeah. Anyways, I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah. So I was kind of just a loner all through high school. My grades were trash. I kind of just, like I said, mentally I was clocked out by that time. And that's probably where like I said, a lot of my anxiety developed from that time. I think there was a point in time within that time where I went to a psychologist because my social anxiety was getting really bad, and they put me on medication for a little bit, but then I got off of it after a while because I was like, yo, this is too much. I don't like this. That stuff made me exhausted. It killed my whole, like, it made me feel like I had like no emotions at all. So I got off of that because I was like, nah, I don't want to be feeling like this. So, but yeah, anyways, yeah. So that was kind of high school for me. So I didn't really have any direction, especially once I graduated. I was kind of like, what do I do from here? So, because for example, my mom was telling me, like, a lot of people around me were telling me, oh, go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school. I'm a very hard-headed person. So I was like, no, I don't feel like going to school. So I didn't go to school. And at that time I was working, and I knew, like, deep down inside my mind, I knew I wanted to own something. So I wanted to have control over my own thing. I wanted to have my own business. So for that reason, I was working, when I graduated at that time, I was working at Walmart. And then, anyways, long story short, I'm not going to go into details about that, but I had surgery on some stuff, and then for that reason, I ended up losing that job because I had to take a lot of time off. And then, so anyways, after that time, that was when I first had my first entrepreneurial, I can't say that word, entrepreneurial adventure. And I tried starting like a furniture business, so just kind of flipping furniture and stuff, doing that. That didn't work. And it wasn't because the furniture stuff wasn't working. It was because of my mentality, and I wasn't doing what I had to do. So that failed miserably, and that was my fault. And it was bad because I had people who invested into that, and I let them down bad. So yeah, that, like I said, I wasn't completely there at that time, and I did that twice with the exact same thing. So it was bad. So anyways, I tried to do that for a little while because I knew I wanted to have my own business, my own time, but at the same time, I didn't have the self-discipline back then to be able to do it. So yeah, I had the entrepreneurial mind, but I didn't know how to discipline myself to actually get the work done, and that's why it failed miserably. So anyways, after that, I ended up working again, but throughout that whole time, I was kind of just lost. I was depressed. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no direction at all. Like, I was kind of just moving through life, and yeah, I didn't know where I was going with it. I was just kind of hanging around and working and doing things. And to be honest, I was being pretty lazy because I didn't know where to go. So that was up until the time when I was like 20. And then when I was 20, that's when I began my next entrepreneurial adventure, and I tried getting into real estate. So I had started the process a little bit right after the whole COVID situation happened. So I lived in Florida at the time, and if you know anything about Florida, they opened up pretty quick. I think within a month or two, everything was opened up fast. So it was like right back to semi-normal at that time. But anyways, I started trying to get into real estate. I got my real estate license. I had studied for about a month or two, the classes, the tests, and all that kind of stuff. Then I took the test. I passed it first time, and then after that, I got into real estate. And I was doing that for about a year. That didn't go very well either because of me. I can't blame it on anything else. Once again, I didn't have the self-discipline and the mindset to be able to get the work done. So for that reason, what happened? I failed miserably again. So it didn't go well. I had the lazy mindset. I didn't have the ambition, that drive to be able to get the work done. And for that reason, I made like basically nothing out of real estate for a whole year. So I was broke. broke. So anyways, yeah, that was a tough time. And I was doing that for a little bit, but I realized at the end of it now, and I realize now I didn't have any passion for any of those things. And once again, it's my fault still, because I should have had the self-discipline to get the work done in both things, but I didn't at that time, and I had to develop that later on. But anyways, I wasn't passionate about it, and at the end of the day, and for that reason, I didn't have the ambition, that drive to get things done. So I didn't get very far in any of that. So after that, I did real estate for that, and then around September 2021? Yeah, it was 2021. That ain't recent, yeah. I had to get another job and stuff because I wasn't making any money, so I had to kind of get another job and everything. And honestly, before that time, actually, that's when I kind of had like that come to moment. So I was doing an open house. If for those of you who don't know what open house is, it's basically when like realtors are inside the house, people can go into the house and go look at it and everything, and then the realtors are, yeah, basically you can go see the prices, you can go look in the house and everything. So anyways, I was doing one of those because I would host those usually on Sundays. So I would host the open house at whatever house my team had on market. So anyways, I was in a house one Sunday. This was my last open house before I got out of real estate. And this was, I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was probably around, I would probably say July, August of 2021. Yeah, I think it was right around that time. I don't remember it. I don't remember the exact time, but I remember the moment. But anyways, I was in an open house and I was doing that. And then when I first when I first got into the open house, there was like one or two people that came in. I was showing them around the house. I was on my own at that time. Usually we had like partners, so it would be like me and another realtor doing it. But that week it was just me by myself. So anyways, I was showing them around and everything. And then there was a period of time after that for like an hour and a half where nobody came at all. And I remember I was kind of just sitting there on the couch waiting for like 10 minutes. And then out of nowhere, I don't know what happened, but for some reason, it's like everything just kind of swarmed on me, like all my thoughts and everything like that. And then I just started bawling out crying. Like I could not control it. I was just crying my eyes out. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, dude, what is going on? Why am I crying? And I could not stop. And like, so anyways, I didn't know what was going on. So I called my mom at that time and I was talking to her for a minute. And yeah, I realized after crying for a minute when I couldn't stop, I was like, I think I'm having a panic attack. So that's why I had called. And anyway, she ended up putting me on the phone with my uncle and I was talking to him for about an hour. But it was crazy. Like I'm telling you, for probably close to 45 minutes to an hour, I was just crying and crying and crying and I could not control it. I was just crying over, like it was weird because I usually don't cry like that. I pride myself on being able to hold back tears and not cry like that. But for some reason at that open house, thank God nobody came through for about an hour and a half because they would have just came in to a realtor crying in the house by himself. It would have looked really bad. So thank God nobody came in through that time. But I was just sitting there crying, and then I was talking to my uncle, and then after a while, once I was finally able to clear the tears up and stop crying, I was able to kind of just reflect on a lot of things and reflect where my life was going at that time. And I realized like I wasn't going in the direction that I wanted to go. And did I know what direction that I wanted to go at that time? No, but I knew that that wasn't it. So that was kind of my come to realization moment that I need to figure out something else and do something else. So at that time, like I said, I was broke. I wasn't making any money because it was a tough market to work in. And like I said, I didn't have the work ethic, the self-discipline to be able to get the work done. So I ended up finding another job at that time. And then I was working there for a little bit. And then I was able to get the opportunity through networking through someone that I've known for probably like 10, 11 years. And he was able to get me a job, the job that I'm doing right now. So I travel around and work around. And throughout this time, I've been able to kind of be able to just try out new things and adventure around and kind of figure everything out. Because around 2020 is around the time when I started getting into like the self-improvement space. Like, to be honest, I didn't know much about like self-improvement at all. Like a lot of different things. And I think the first channel that I stumbled upon, I don't know how I found it, but it just kind of came up randomly, was the Teaching Men's Fashion, Jose Zuniga, the YouTube channel. And I ended up coming across his stuff, and his stuff was all about self-improvement. So I remember I started watching that, and I remember I was learning so many things. I was like, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be doing this? Like, oh dang, I haven't been doing this. Oh man. I realized there was a lot of things. I was like, oh, I can improve on this. I can improve on this. Oh man, I need to develop this. And even with simple things, like I had no idea men were supposed to have a skincare routine before that. I was like, whoa, men are supposed to wash their face and do all this stuff too? I was like, oh shoot, I thought that was a feminine thing. So anyways, there was a lot of things that I was able to pick apart, and that's something simple, but a lot of things I was able to kind of pick up on. And then I started diving more deeper and deeper and deeper into self-improvement. And then that was around the time when I started going to the gym too and everything, and I started getting into like a lot into gym content, all that kind of stuff. So that's when I kind of just started deep diving into all the self-improvement stuff and just working on myself, because I knew Oof, I don't know what that was. Sorry about that. But anyways, I just started diving deep into self-improvement and figuring everything out and kind of just working on myself in a lot of different ways because I knew that I wasn't where I needed to be. I had major anxiety. I was depressed and I did not know where I was going. I didn't have a direction of where I was moving at all. So like I was like I gotta start working on stuff. So that was around the time when I was getting into real estate whenever I started doing that. So anyways, throughout that whole entire time I was doing that. And then around the end of 2021, I believe. Yeah, it was around right before I started working this job. So yeah, 2021 when I was working the job after I had got out of real estate, I had made up my mind. I was like, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and I'm gonna start recording videos about self-improvement. Everything that I've learned, I'm just gonna pass it on to everybody else and create a YouTube channel and just see what happens. I learned to develop the mindset that stop waiting, because I used to have such a perfectionist mindset. Like, man, I can't do this unless everything's perfect. I have to have a studio. I have to have this. I have to have that. And it took me a while to break out of the mentality and just realize, like, at this point, everybody who became successful in everything didn't start off like amazing and didn't have amazing equipment, all this kind of stuff. Everybody has to start from somewhere. So that's when I realized I developed a mentality that, you know what, you might not have the best equipment and all this kind of stuff. You might not have everything that you need, but just start. So anyways, I started the YouTube channel at that time. And that's when I had started. And I started with the same kind of format, like, for example, like teaching men's fashion, that same kind of format, just standing up and giving like quick little tips and everything. And as of recent, I've been doing the same thing, and I'll probably be doing a similar type of thing on my other channel, on the Jordan Taylor channel on YouTube. A little bit different though, because I want to be a little bit more specific. I don't want to give just small little tips, but it's more so like deep diving into different topics of self-improvement and figuring out ways to be able to improve yourself. Because, like I said, one thing that interests me a lot is studying like successful people. That's one thing I love to do. So I like to study like successful people that have the kind of life that I want. So I'm not talking about just anybody successful. I'm talking about the people specifically that I'm like, I look up to that person because their life and their business and the way that they run everything is, what's the right word? I admire. I think that's the right word. Not like a kind of jealousy, but just I look up and I'm like, that's nice, man. How do they do that? So that I can try to implement some of those type of things into my life as well. And one person that I look up to big time is Kevin Hart. So I'm like, that dude has a family. He runs multiple businesses. That dude's busy. So I like to understand his frame of mind and understanding how is it that he goes about everything. So that's why he has some like audiobooks on Audible that I've listened to and everything, and just trying to figure out and pick apart his head. Actually, I listened to one recently. I forgot where I was going with all this. I think I kind of just see, this is what I mean by riffing. My mind just starts going off. That's crazy. We've been going for almost 27 minutes or so, almost 30 minutes, and I'm over here going. But anyways, I forgot where I was going with all this. But anyways, yeah. So I listened to something recently, and sorry, I'm going back into the self-improvement stuff. So yeah, anyways, I had started the self-improvement. I'll dive into that in a little bit. But anyways, I was getting into the self-improvement things. I started up the YouTube channel and everything, and then so I started that off, and that's kind of like what began me just trying new things, like figuring out what I wanted to do. I started the Lionheart podcast a little bit after that, just to have like a self-improvement type of podcast, just trying new things. And now I'm switching things up a little bit because I was like, I didn't want to have like those short form videos doing self-improvement and then also a podcast, because things are just going to start overlapping. So I was like, how can I go about this? Because I always wanted a podcast. Like, I like talking. And later on, like I said, once I have the pool to do so, I would love to just have like conversations with people, just like some genuine conversations, not your typical podcast type of thing. And then also, I would still love the self-improvement stuff, and everything that I learn, I want to be able to pass it on to everybody else, because the self-improvement, all the content of self-improvement helped me so much that I want to be able to do the same thing to everybody who's following me, because it helped me out a lot. It helped me to be able to break out of the mentality that I had before, the lazy, the one who wasn't able to do self-discipline. English is not my language. Nah. But anyways, yeah. So it helped me break out a lot of things. It helped me learn of a lot of things just simple things that you can do that just improve your life. Even something like simple as like a skincare routine. Like I said, that made a huge difference because I was breaking out and stuff like that. I didn't realize I was supposed to have a skincare routine. So that once I developed that and developed the habit of washing my face every morning, every night, having the moisturizer to put it on so your skin doesn't oil up and cause breakouts and stuff. Something as simple as that gave me more confidence, right? Being able to get better haircuts and learning different things. I'm telling you, there's so many little things, and this is why I've enjoyed the process of self-improvement and why I want to pass it on to everybody else, because I enjoy it, and I realize how much it helped me, and I realize how much it can help other people too. I see people in my life all the time. I'm like, man, if they just knew, if they just knew these little things that they could be doing to be able to improve their life, and these little things that they should stop doing that's going to keep ruining them and putting them in this path, and then they're going to regret it in the end. So I see this all the time, and this is the exact reason why I started all this stuff up. I said that this podcast wasn't just going to be about self-improvement, but anyways, this is the kind of the intro, so I'm just kind of explaining how I go about everything, and maybe just an intro to me, period. But yeah, so anyways, so I was doing that, and now I'm at where I'm at now. Like, do I have everything figured out 100%? Nope. But I'm figuring everything out, and I'm just working. And at this point, my mentality is, I'm just gonna do it. Like, there's no more hesitating and no more thinking, what if it doesn't work or anything like that. At this point, you just try things out. I think that's what you got to do in life, especially if you're young right now. That's the best thing you can do. Just try a whole bunch of things out until you find what sticks, something that you're passionate about, and just keep going. At the end of the day, you need to figure out what the goal is for yourself. And there's a lot of things that I'm learning. Like I said, I'm nowhere near the end of like my self-improvement and just figuring out life. I'm still young. I know I have a lot to learn, and that's why I like listening to different things. To be honest, like, the reason I want to start a podcast is because this is kind of like my favorite form of content, to be honest. Like, me nowadays, I'm not big into music or any other kind of thing. I like listening to just podcasts of people, different things. Like, I like listening to podcasts. I'm trying to learn to develop the liking of silence too. Just kind of learning how to sit in silence, because I feel like so often nowadays, man, we'll always have something on, always something's on in the background. And I feel like it's very unhealthy because you don't let yourself think. You don't let yourself think, and then you allow your brain to kind of comprehend everything that's going around right now. So I feel like it's very important. And it's helped me too, like even being able to travel for work. So now that I'm in New York, there's a little bit more work here, so I'm kind of staying in the state of New York for the most part. But when I was in Salt Lake, at that time, I was literally traveling every single week because we didn't have any work in Utah. So for that reason, I had to work everywhere else. So I was in places all over the place. If you followed me for a while, now on my Instagram, you probably saw it on my stories. I've been California, Wyoming, Idaho, where else? I'm trying to think. New Mexico, Texas, I don't remember what other states are around there. I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, Arizona. Like I was been to like a lot of the Midwest states over there, and then California, which is on the West Coast and everything. But in Seattle, I've been up there. So anyways, yeah, I was able to travel around quite a bit and just see a lot of different cities and see a lot of different places, from the big cities to small little towns. And I think it helped me just to kind of broaden my mind up a little bit. It allowed me to just take time to reflect. I was on my own a lot within that time because I was traveling by myself. So every week I was on a plane to a different place, and I just kind of sat by myself quite a bit, being able to kind of just reflect and figure everything out. And I'll be honest with you, throughout that whole time, I've been through a lot of downtimes. Just kind of trying to figure out. I've been tired and just not knowing where I'm going. And that's why one thing I have picked up on is when you don't have something that you're driving towards, when you don't have something that you're looking towards all the time, that's the times when you're going to start feeling tired, depressed, anxious, and all these things, when you don't have something, a goal that you're working towards. But when you have a goal that you're working towards, when you have a specific vision and you have laid out exactly what you need to do, those are the times when you're able to accomplish things that you never thought you could accomplish. Like, I realize that now. Like, I feel like I'm more energetic when I know, even when I'm tired. But if I know I need to do something, I get the energy to be able to get stuff done. And I feel like that's an important thing. That's why it's so important to have a goal. It's so important to have a vision that you're working towards, because, like, that's what life's about. Like, you have to have something. If you don't have something you're working towards, then you're just kind of just going with the wind and everything. You're not going to have anything to pursue. You're not going to be able to find any kind of happiness. The happiness comes from having something that you're pursuing. That's why the most fulfilled people, what is it? They had some big goal that they were working towards. And because they were able to work towards it, or even if they weren't even able to achieve the end, what happens? They had the happiness just from the journey itself. And that's what people fail to realize. Like, everybody's looking for the outcome. They want the end piece. They're like, man, I want the money. I want this. I want that. I want the huge house. And people forget that you have to enjoy the journey. Like, what's the outcome if you don't have the journey behind it? If just one day $1 billion was handed to you, you got a big old house and everything like that, what is it? Like, it's not gonna. It may seem right now, you may be like, man, I would love that. Man, give me my $1 billion. Anybody would take that. But there's no story behind it. The best things is whenever you reach the top and you know that you had to work from somewhere to get it. Think about all the best stories that you've heard from, like, celebrities or people who've made it to the top, or people who've been able to make it against all odds. Most of the time they have a story that they had to overcome something or a lot of things in order to get to where they were. And that's what makes their stories so good. You're like, dang, man, they started from here and they were able to get there. How? Because they worked their butt off to get over there. They did this, they did that, they did this, they sacrificed sleep, they got their business going. Even though everybody was against them over here, they kept going anyways. You hear these stories, and that's where you start getting the motivation. You're like, dang, man, they did this, I can do this too. And no matter what, man, going towards whatever success is to you, whatever it is that you're going towards, you're going to have obstacles, you're going to have things that you got to overcome in order to reach it. So you're never going to avoid that. So there's no point in trying to avoid that, because you're not gonna. You're not. Be honest with yourself. You're not gonna avoid all that. So you gotta just learn to accept it. Life is hard. Life is not meant to be easy. Life is hard. So learn to accept that. So anyways, enough of that. But that's kind of like the journey that I've taken and where I've gone now. And now I'm trying a lot of different things. And I'm just kind of figuring out exactly what path works best for me. That's all I can do. And that's why I'm getting into the modeling. I'm doing this, the YouTube pages. I switched it up now. Now I have the podcast, and then I have the self-improvement channel. I'm just trying a lot of different things and figuring out what sticks, what works. I have a lot of different ventures that I'm going about really soon, so I'm not going to say it now. I don't want to spoil any of it, but I have ventures that I'm going about right now, trying to figure out and trying to begin. But that's all you can do, man. Just keep going. And I know usually people start like podcasts after they're established and all this stuff, and they already have a fan base and all that. But honestly, this podcast isn't just for you guys. It's for me too. It's for me to be able to reflect later on and look back later on and be like, dang, that was my mindset, and just see the growth. Like, I think that's so important in life, to be able to see the growth and see where you've come from and how you think now than when you're in the future. Like, I could look back at this a few years from now and be like, dang, man, that's what I was thinking back then? Oh my goodness, childish back then. And maybe I have a way of thinking down a few years down the line. We'll see. But that's what I think is the beauty of this right now. Even though, let's be honest, I don't have very many people that are probably going to be listening to this. But for right now, this is kind of just a growth thing, and you guys can follow along. The few of you guys who are listening, I appreciate it. Let's continue to grow this out. And I'm going to keep just taking you guys along with the journey. And just, like I said, this podcast isn't going to be specifically about self-improvement. It's not going to be specifically about anything. It's kind of just going to be whatever comes across my mind for that week. And I'll be trying to get these out every Monday is my goal. Every Monday I'll get these out to you guys and go from there. But yeah, I just kind of want to talk about anything. It's not going to be about anything specific. But like I said, I do want to avoid the topics that everybody else wants to talk about. I already addressed for example, the dating stuff, because I know that's a huge thing nowadays that everybody's always asking the same exact questions. So I told you guys, focus on yourself. That's my answer. That's my answer. Yeah, that's my answer. If you guys ask me any questions about that, that's gonna be my answer every single time. That's gonna be the answer. There's no other answer. That's the answer. So, but anyways, going to a completely different note. How about them NBA playoffs though? So I'm a Celtics fan. I'm not gonna lie, I've been super depressed. Right now, as the recording of this, I'm recording this on what's today's date? The May 25th. So it's on Thursday. So this game 5 will be happening today. So right now, I'm kind of hanging by the brink because we're down 3-1. No team has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit. And now we're trying to make history. We're not up, sorry. It's 3-1 now. We got to win 3 games straight from here, which is tough. Because you got playoff Jimmy in the playoffs, and that dude, for some reason, is just going off, and everybody's going crazy. But what I did hear, I forgot what his name is. I think it was Vincent. Is out in Miami today. So I'm hoping Celtics come out on fire, man. We're playing in the Garden today. I hope they come out on fire. To be honest, this is the first year that I've really gotten back into basketball. I got in probably midway through the year as I started watching again. Because I stopped watching for a while because, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of weak calls going on. And sometimes I do still feel the same way. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You guys are calling that's a baby foul. But I do like the game of basketball. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get back into it anyway. So this is the first year that I've gotten back into it. I like all the sports, to be honest with you, man. Like I said, I just got back. Sorry, let me get closer to the mic. I just got back into basketball, but I'm also a baseball fan. Football as well. My teams are kind of all over the place. I'm from Boise, Idaho. All right, so the only team that we have is Boise State College. So college, everything is Boise State no matter what, because that's where I'm from. But as far as everything else, I kind of just chose teams based off of the situation. So when it came to Boston, when it came to the Celtics and Red Sox, which I'm fans of, it kind of came from my dad's side because he's a Boston fan, so I kind of just followed after him. And then I didn't get into football until around 2000, 2008, 2009, somewhere around that time. But at that time, my stepdad was from New Orleans. Sorry, not from New Orleans, but he's from Louisiana. So for that reason, it was a Saints home. He was watching football every Sunday. So I kind of joined in, and I became a Saints fan for that reason because that was the first exposure that I got to football, and we were watching the Saints all the time. So for that reason, I became a Saints fan. So then, obviously, then they won the Super Bowl, and I remember I still have the coffee cup. Actually, it's in Tampa right now, but I still have the coffee cup from when they won the Super Bowl, and I remember we were going crazy for that because obviously that was their one and only Super Bowl, which I've been depressed about, man. I was hoping Drew Brees would get at least one more, especially over the span of. We've had a lot of heartbreaks, man. We've had a lot of heartbreaks. Two that are popping up in my head, obviously. Anybody who knows about football knows about the Minnesota Miracle. I think that was in 2017, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it was in 2017. That was a heartbreak. I still remember watching that game and being like, dude, what just happened? I remember being so happy because I was like, we're going to win this game. I forgot. I think we were up a few points. But anyways, we were supposed to win. In the last play of the game, I still don't know how this worked, but I think it was Kirk Cousins was still the quarterback at that time. But he ended up throwing a pass, just kind of throwing it up in the air. Last play of the game, just threw it up in the air, got it out. I forgot who was the receiver at that time, and I can't remember the name of the defender who just completely blew the tackle. I don't know what he was doing. This dude the receiver was about to catch the ball, and for some reason, the defender just put his head down and completely missed and gave him an easy way, just a straight path to the end zone. And the time ran out. I remember being like, dude, what? I remember being there just dumbfounded. I was just looking at the TV like, did that just happen? I remember sitting there. I was like, did that just happen? And I was messaging a friend of mine at the time, and he was like, he just started laughing at me because he was a Steelers fan. And yeah, anyways, so he just started laughing at me. I'm like, I cannot believe that just happened. So that year broke my heart. I was like, I don't even understand what just happened right there. And then come next year, we get all the way to the NFC Championship against the Rams, and we get to the end of the game, and they completely missed the most obvious pass interference call you can probably call. This dude the receiver clearly got hit way before the ball even got there. So it was a clear pass interference. They completely missed the call, and because of that, we ended up losing the game because they completely missed the call on what should have been a pass interference. It should have put us right there at the 1 yard line to get the ball into the end zone. But no, they completely missed it. You know how bad it was? They invented a whole new rule based off of that blown call. The next year, they allowed you, because before that, they didn't allow you to challenge pass interference calls. So you couldn't challenge it. Because of that incident that they did against the Saints, then the next year, guess what you could do? Now you could challenge pass interference calls. You can challenge pass interference calls now. You know why? Because they had that blown call against the Saints. I'm still heated to this day. Because then the Rams went to the Super Bowl and had like the most boring Super Bowl ever against the Patriots. I think it was like 10-3. The most boring Super Bowl ever. If the Saints would have went to the Super Bowl that year, we would have won. I feel it. That was the year. But they had a blown call and made us lose the game. I'm still heartbroken. I'm still mad to this day. Like, I still can't believe that happened. They invented a new rule the next year because of what happened to us. Man, I feel like there's so many things that... Another thing I can remember that happened to the Saints, and for that reason, now referee differently. Oh, shoot, what was it? I don't remember. I don't remember if it was a fumble. I don't remember if it was a fumble or an interception. I think it was a fumble. Anyways, I don't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, it was like the second game of the season. I don't remember exactly what year this was. It was probably like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. But anyways, it's probably 2019. But anyways, I forgot who we were playing against. But there was a fumble. The other team fumbled the ball or intercepted. Or we intercepted it. I don't remember. But anyways, I think it was a fumble. But anyways, they thought the player was down before the Saints picked up the ball. So because of that, they blew the whistle. Even though the Saints, I forgot who it was, but they ran it all the way back to the end zone, so there should have been a touchdown. They reviewed it, and guess what? It was a clear fumble. So he should have got the touchdown whenever he grabbed the ball and ran it back. But guess what? Because the referee blew the whistle and blew the play dead, then they couldn't count the touchdown because then they had to be down at that very moment because the referee blew his whistle. So guess what? The referees screwed us up. They screwed us over because they blew the whistle. We couldn't get the touchdown at that time. And now, guess what? After that, guess what the referees usually do? They usually let the play run, and then they'll blow the whistle at the end just in case, and then they'll check over it so that it doesn't blow the call. I'm telling you, man, they don't like this. They're against the Saints. But yeah, anyways, the few years we had a chance, man, with Drew Brees, it's sad, man. I wanted him to get at least one more. And we couldn't get it. It's a sad time. But anyways, yeah. So then obviously the next few years after that, and then now Drew Brees is retired, and now it's been a straight circus trying to find everything. Last year we didn't even have a quarterback at this point. We had like Andy Dalton, and yeah, let's just say we're not a very good team right now. So I gotta get back into paying attention to football again. Cause Derek Carr. We got Derek Carr now. I remember now. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know how that's gonna go, but hopefully he comes through and does what he got to do for us, man. We need a quarterback bad. We have a good team, man. We have a good defense. I mean, they didn't play amazing last year. They played decent. I don't know. I just have a lot of heartbreak. But anyways, we got a good defensive team. We obviously have a good offense. If Michael Thomas can stay healthy, we got one of the best receivers. We got Alvin Kamara. I think Mark Ingram is still with us too. I gotta look back at everything. But anyways, we got a good team, man. We just need a quarterback. We do not have a quarterback, and we need a quarterback. And I'm hoping Derek Carr can come in and just fulfill that position and do what he got to do for the team. So we'll see what he does. I hope that he comes through and changes it around and gets us competitive so that we can get to the top. But, man, it's been a depressing few years. I'm not going to lie, for the Saints. It's been depressing. It's been very depressing. We haven't been able to make the playoffs. Sad. It's sad. It's very sad. But anyways, enough of my ranting about that. Sorry, I started thinking deep about this. But anyways, we're already at 50 minutes right now. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it over here. But anyways, yeah. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I said, this is gonna be, I don't know what the name of this is gonna be right now. Right now it's staying Lionheart, but I might change up the name depending on what I decide to do. So we'll see. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is the new form. I'm just gonna kind of talk whatever's off the top of my head, whatever's going about that week. Like I said, if you guys want me to talk about something specific, not about the topic that I mentioned earlier, because that's what everybody wants to talk about, then let me know in the comment section. Let me know on Instagram on the Lionheart page, or the other name that maybe we'll see. And just let me know what you guys would like me to talk about. I might, soon enough, once we start growing this podcast out, I might start just taking a few questions that you guys give to me on the podcast every week. And then, like I said, later on, hopefully we can get guests on. Not hopefully, we're going to get guests on. Just once we have the pool and the reach to be able to bring guests onto the podcast. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Jordan. My name is Jordan Taylor. I don't think I introduced myself at the beginning. My name is Jordan Taylor, entrepreneur, doing a whole bunch of different things. Like I said, I have the podcast channel on YouTube. This is also on Spotify, Apple Podcast. If there's anywhere else I need to put it, let me know. Then I'll put it on there. But for right now, it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. This one is, like I said, the podcast, kind of just about anything that's off the top of my head, weekly. And then I have the other Jordan Taylor channel on YouTube, which is specifically for self-improvement. So if you want self-improvement stuff, then go to that page over there. That's where all the self-improvement videos are going to be. So I appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on the socials. And I'm going to be posting these on every Monday. So every Monday, probably morning, sometime in the morning, these will be out. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.